So we're almost at the end of April and I realize I am running out of time to make a spring themed balloon display. I wanted to do something that really embodied the season, like bright, vibrant colors, but of course with a touch of some floral elements to really represent the season, you know? So instead of just having flowers in the balloon clusters, I wanted to make them kind of rain down from the ceiling, have them floating, suspended in air, essentially going for a visually dynamic look. This was my first time making this, and I liked the way it turned out, but I did learn a lot along the way. So if you would like to see how I did this, keep watching. Okay, let's start with the flowers. First thing you'll need is a set of sewing needles. I want them to be like sturdy or heavy duty. Then you'll need your fishing line because this is what's going to hold your flowers in place. Any type is fine, but the thinner it is, the less visible it'll be. Then the star of the show, your faux flowers, and I'll link the ones I use below. Next, you'll cut a piece of fishing line as long as you need it to hang. I would say like between 7.5 to 8 feet, depending on the height of the ceiling that you're going to be installing it in. And just thread your needle and make a nice knot because this needle is what you're going to use to thread the fishing line through your faux flowers. Every fake flower is different, like the middles are different, so some will be easier to get the needle through, others will be a little bit more difficult. Some, the center is made out of foam, so it goes through really easily, whereas in others, there might be like a plastic piece and you'll have to go around through the edge to be able to get it through. I used a pair of pliers to pull the needle through the other side because it was really tough, so just using my hands wasn't enough. For the setup, I was thinking about a spring garden, so I was like, okay, let the centerpiece be like an arbor arch, the type that you see in the garden with the flowers all around it. So I put together my open arch backdrop in a way that looked like an arbor. It was looking a little bit plain, so I added this draped fabric as well as my wood butterfly to really just set the scene. For my balloons, I wanted to use spring themed colors without necessarily getting into the pastels. So I chose something that I had fashion pink, peach, coral, and blush. When I put them together, I felt like it was a good look. It represented spring like right as we roll over into summer. And to keep things simple, I decided to build this look up just using links of 4 clusters together. You'll see what I mean by this. All of my foundations are set with just 4 clusters tied together by the necks. I didn't even pay attention to the sizes. They were completely random, but it worked out. I attached this cluster using this sticky hook, and yes, these work really, really well, but yes, these will take the paint off. So just be careful when and where you choose to use them. And from here, I just make another chain of 4 clusters, and I'm experimenting to try to see where I want it to go. Like you see, I have one in the top right corner. That was just me experimenting, try to see like what it looks like and if I want to keep it there. But the one on the left that I'm working with right now, I decided to make it go up and behind the arbor, and I'll make another chain that kind of peeks out from the top and spills over onto the ladder. I think the reason why I like this chain of 4 clusters technique is because even though it looks very simple, you can shape and move these to look like a completely different design every time. What I do oftentimes is I'll just put it where I think I want it and then I'll move it around continuously until I stop on kind of like a shape or a structure that I like. Now I know we all get those pop balloons or those deflated balloons, so I think there's like different ways. You can tuck this in if you want so it doesn't show, or just cut it off. I decided to cut it off. And over here I'm using fishing line to tie it to the base of my arbor instead of another hook, so I could have a little bit more flexibility in terms of placement. Another 4 cluster chain. I'm just gonna put this on to the hook right in the front and move it around again until I get a shape that I like. It might take me a little while, just wanna mess around with it, but I find this technique works out pretty well for me most times. I just wanted to show this part in real speed so you can see what I'm doing and how it's done, but feel free to skip through if you need to. Now that my foundation is set, I have a clear idea of the final design, so it's time to start filling out the base, and I do this just by adding in little quads and clusters here and there, wherever I see big spaces. And I talk more about this in detail in my beginner balloon garland video, which I'll link up here. That video will be much more helpful because I go through it step by step. For my fillers, I'm using both mini quads as well as the mini chain garlands. So the quads are going to be sized down to 4 inches. I'm using my sizer for that. And my chain balloons, I wanted to add those to mimic vines in the garden, you know what I mean? So if you want to learn how to make those, I also have a video that I'll link right here. And I'm just trying to find a good spot for my fillers, putting them here or there, just wherever they look good, you know. And attaching them by tying them into the neck of a cluster or just using 260s, which can be a little bit easier, I think. I finished filling it out and added some more faux flowers into the actual clusters, and when it was all said and done, this is the final look. I have my floating flowers, which consist of a variety of different types. Like there's some roses, some hydrangea, and some little small ones here and there just to kind of add a variety of sizes. And then in the back, I added my display ladder with some floral vases and a little bit of greenery. You see I have my butterfly there, and you know, all in all, I like the way it turned out. I think the floating floral project, I did like it, but there are some things I think I would do differently. For one, I want to try adding more lines of flowers. These are 6 lines right here. I think next time I'd probably do way more, maybe like 12. But all in all, I hope you liked this video. If you did, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button or feel free to subscribe. And if you're looking for more design inspiration, you can check out some of my other videos listed right here for you. But until the next one, peace.